The United States is often described through simple labels: a superpower, a democracy, an economic giant, or a nation of immigrants. But none of those labels fully explains what the country is or how it became so influential. The United States is a federal republic made up of 50 states, with Washington, D.C. serving as the national capital. Most of the country sits across central North America, bordered by Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. But the American map stretches much farther than that. Alaska reaches toward the Arctic and the Pacific, Hawaii sits deep in the Pacific Ocean, and several island territories connect the country to the Caribbean and Oceania. Understanding the United States starts with this scale: a country with continental reach, ocean access, vast resources, and a population of more than 341 million people. Geography has shaped American power from the beginning. The 48 contiguous states include fertile plains, major river systems, mountain ranges, desert regions, forests, and 2 long ocean coastlines. This variety helped create an enormous internal market and supported agriculture, industry, transport, and urban growth. The Mississippi River system connected inland regions to trade routes, while Atlantic and Pacific access gave the country influence in both Europe-facing and Asia-facing commerce. The United States is also considered megadiverse, meaning it contains a remarkable range of ecosystems and species. That environmental range is not just a natural fact, it helped produce different regional economies, lifestyles, political priorities, and cultural identities. The country's physical size made unity difficult, but it also gave the United States a foundation for wealth, security, and expansion that few nations could match. Long before the United States existed, North America was home to indigenous peoples with complex societies, trade networks, languages, and political systems. Paleo-Indians migrated from North Asia at least 15,000 years ago, and over thousands of years their descendants built varied civilizations across the continent. The arrival of Europeans after 1492 transformed the region through colonization, disease, conflict, trade, and forced displacement. British colonization became especially important for what later became the United States. In 1607, English settlers founded Jamestown in Virginia, the first permanent English settlement in what became the 13 colonies. These colonies developed under British rule but also grew accustomed to managing local affairs. Over time, that experience of self-government helped create a political culture that would later challenge imperial authority. By the 18th century, ideas of liberty, republicanism, and rights were spreading through the colonies. This period, often connected to the American Enlightenment, encouraged colonists to think about government as something that should rest on consent rather than inherited power. Tensions with Britain grew over taxation, trade controls, and the colonists' lack of direct representation in Parliament. The phrase taxation without representation became a powerful summary of a broader dispute: who had the right to govern the colonies? The conflict eventually became the American Revolution. On July 2, 1776, the Lee Resolution formally declared independence from Great Britain. 2 days later, on July 4, the Declaration of Independence was adopted and publicly released, turning a political break into a statement of universal principles about liberty and government. Independence was not secured by words alone. The Revolutionary War, fought from 1775 to 1783, determined whether the new country would survive. Victory gave the United States international recognition as a sovereign nation, but independence created a new challenge: building a functioning government. The Constitution created a federal system with power divided between the national government and the states. It also separated federal authority among 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Congress became bicameral, with the House of Representatives based on population and the Senate giving equal representation to each state. This structure was designed to balance majority rule, state interests, and checks on concentrated power. The system did not solve every conflict, but it gave the young republic a durable framework for political competition and national expansion. After independence, the United States expanded rapidly across the continent through purchase, settlement, negotiation, and conquest. This westward expansion brought new land, resources, and opportunity for many settlers, but it also came at a devastating cost to indigenous nations whose territories were taken or pressured into surrender. Expansion raised one of the country's central contradictions. A republic founded on liberty was growing through displacement and, in many regions, through slavery. As new states entered the Union, the balance between free and slave states became increasingly explosive. The North and South developed different economies and political priorities, and slavery became the defining national crisis. The question was not only whether slavery would continue, but whether the United States could remain one country while deeply divided over human bondage. The American Civil War, fought from 1861 to 1865, was the country's most destructive internal conflict. 11 Southern states seceded and formed the Confederate States of America in order to preserve slavery. The Union fought to prevent the country from breaking apart, and as the war developed, abolition became central to the meaning of Union victory. When the Confederacy was defeated, the United States was reunified and slavery was abolished nationally. But the end of slavery did not instantly create equality. The country faced the long, unfinished struggle of Reconstruction, civil rights, racial justice, and political inclusion. The Civil War proved that the Federal Union would endure, but it also revealed how deeply the nation's founding ideals had been compromised and contested from the beginning. By 1900, the United States had become a great power. Its industrial economy expanded rapidly, supported by natural resources, immigration, railroads, factories, finance, and technological innovation. Cities grew, corporations became larger, and American goods increasingly reached global markets. The country's rise was not only economic, it also became more active internationally. World War I strengthened its position, but World War II transformed it. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the United States entered the war on the Allied side. Its industrial capacity, military mobilization, and scientific research helped shape the outcome. By the end of the war, the United States had become one of the two dominant global powers and the first country to develop and use nuclear weapons. After World War II, the world entered the Cold War, a long rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. This was not just a military standoff, it was an ideological contest between capitalism and communism, liberal democracy and one-party rule, American influence and Soviet influence. The United States built alliances, supported international institutions, expanded military commitments, and competed in science, technology, space exploration, and culture. The creation of the United Nations and America's permanent seat on the Security Council reflected its new global role. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the United States was left as the world's sole superpower. That position gave it unmatched influence, but also exposed it to criticism, responsibility, and the limits of power in a complex world. The American economy is one of the main reasons the country remains so influential. Since about 1890, it has been the world's largest economy by many measures, and today it accounts for more than a quarter of global nominal GDP. The United States ranks highly in innovation, higher education, entrepreneurship, finance, and technology. Its universities attract students and researchers from around the world, while its companies shape global markets in software, entertainment, medicine, aerospace, and consumer culture. The country also has very high disposable household income by OECD standards. But this wealth is unevenly distributed. The United States combines extraordinary economic strength with pronounced inequality, meaning its prosperity is both a source of global power and a source of intense domestic debate. American culture has global reach because it has been shaped by centuries of immigration, regional diversity, and mass media. People from many parts of the world have contributed languages, religions, food traditions, music, business networks, and social movements. This makes the United States difficult to define as one single culture. It is better understood as a constantly changing mix of local identities and national symbols. Hollywood films, popular music, fast food, sports, technology platforms, universities, and political language have all carried American influence abroad. At the same time, American culture absorbs outside influences and transforms them. This cultural power does not work like military power. It is softer, more voluntary, and often more subtle, but it can shape aspirations, habits, debates, and imaginations across the world. Today, the United States remains one of the most important countries in global affairs. It spends more on its military than any other country and accounts for a large share of worldwide military spending. It maintains alliances, bases, trade relationships, and diplomatic influence across many regions. Yet its position is no longer uncontested. China's rise has created a new debate about whether the world is moving away from a single superpower era. Inside the United States, political polarization, inequality, immigration debates, and questions about national identity continue to shape its future. The story of the United States is therefore not simply a story of power. It is a story of geography, ideals, contradiction, expansion, conflict, reinvention, and influence on a scale few countries have ever reached. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.